So now we begin in part 1, chapter 4, segment number 1. Basically, the situation of man in this world and his responsibilities in detail. Aleph. In man's condition in this world, it depends two things. Tichunat asmo shel adam b'halaka v'hakavatam. On the one hand, how Adam is made up, what he's made up, and the elements of his being and the structure of his being. And the place and the environment where he is placed. And all that is associated with it. Bet. When we're dealing with man himself, we see, that we understand from the beginning that man is made up of two parts. One is a spiritual part, a neshama, and one is a physical part, that is a guf. But we see with our eyes, we see that the primary leaning is towards the materialism. And the connections or the associations with the materialism are very, very strong. Immediately after the birth of man, he's almost entirely materialistic. And his wisdom and his intelligence does not really act at all, except in a very, very small and low way. And as the man grows and becomes more mature, his sechel, his wisdom, and his intelligence increase and become stronger. Each one according to its detail, according to his specialties. But nevertheless, even though the sechel grows and becomes much stronger, it doesn't stop the materialism from ruling. And from veering the man towards its side, which of course is the materialism. Unless a person increases his wisdom and studies it and strengthens in the ways of wisdom, then mankind has the ability to conquer his nature. And he can overcome the physical nature and to keep his physical nature at bay and his desires properly bridled. And of course, then he goes in the ways of the wisdom, in the ways of the intelligence. We see with our own eyes these ideas. That within the material aspect, there's an inherent darkness and coarseness in its nature. And this is a very far distance from what is the true essence, the true essence, which of course is spirituality. Like those that are close to God and who attach themselves to His holiness. And the soul herself, even though we see the soul is pure and exalted, when the soul enters into the body of man, into the material body, and becomes embroiled and becomes messed in it, we see that it's almost like the soul becomes divorced, comes separated, and pushed away from its true nature to something that is completely the opposite of the nature of the soul. And it is basically buried within the soul. And the spiritual aspect cannot rise up. תתאמץ בכוח חזק מן הכוח המכריחה. Unless the soul employs a tremendous amount of strength in order to overcome this material aspect. Ubiyot shegazar ha'adon baruch hu, and because the master decreed this, shehar kavazo shel guf ha'adam v'nishmato lipared leolam, lo tipared leolam, that this composition of soul and guf and body will not separate forever. Perush, explain, ki perud ha'mavta eno ela davar lefi sha'a tchiyat hametim. We see that the death is really only a temporary separation between the soul and the body, because there's a resurrection of the dead, like we discussed earlier, where there will be a reunification of the soul and the body together. So the ultimate goal, the majority of the soul's time it's going to be spending, is connected to a body. For only a brief period of time is the soul disconnected from the body, and that's precisely after the death, until the resurrection. And after the resurrection, we know that the soul returns to the body. And these two, the guf, the body, and the soul will continue on forever. This is understood. This is imperative. Therefore, we see it's important that the neshama becomes greater, becomes more spiritual and stronger. And that she continues to weaken the strength and the darkness of the materialism until the guf is no longer dark. And then the body can rise up with the soul and basically get benefit from the exalted light. Instead of the way it was before, where the soul was actually covered up in the darkness with the body. It's the exact opposite, where the soul will lift the body, so the body rises up out of the darkness and appreciates the light of the exalted nature. But man in this world is in a situation where the materialism is so strong, like we explained, and because it is dark, coarse, and it is coarse and dark, we see man finds himself in a tremendous amount of darkness, like he said at the beginning of Mesilat Yesharim. And very, very far from where he should be. Which means to attach himself to God. And this is precisely what man has to make his efforts in, is to attach himself to God. To strengthen his soul against the strength of his materialism. And to improve his situation, to rise himself up to an exalted level of which is appropriate for him to be at in his rightful state. Gimel, and man's environment where he is found, gamhu chomri v'chashoch. Also, the environment is dark and material. And everything found inside the world is also of a physical nature. And the way the man lives in the world is through the physical aspects, through the body and through his physical nature. Because everything in this world is materialism and has a physical nature. And the nature of man and the way he is made requires him to involve himself in the physical world. Because it's impossible for a man to continue to live if he's not going to eat, he's not going to drink, and all the other things that are naturally required of man to take care of his body. And he cannot achieve his high levels without making sure that he's taking care of his basic needs. Whether we look at whether it's from the body, from the physical nature of man, bemitzad olamo, or from his environment, from the world itself, bemitzad asakav, whether he's involved in what he's doing, what he has to employ when he's in the world, hu tavua b'chomer, he is buried, he is basically encompassed in the chomer, in the materialism, umshuka b'hoshko, and he's permanent, and he's immersed in its darkness. Ve'amal gadol v'ishtadlut hazaka yitztarech lo lit'alot el matzav ze mizeh, and it will take a tremendous amount of effort that will be required. Tremendous amount of effort will be required for him to rise up out of this situation. If he is to elevate himself to a situation that is more elevated than where he started. Dalet. But we see from God's design, Yitbarach Shemo, Hayale Sader Hadvarim Be'ofen. He arranged things so that even though man must be observed in the physical, that even though man is buried, is immersed inside the physical nature by requirement, by necessity, like we wrote previously, but it is possible. Hashem gave mankind the ability to rise up over his physical nature and to acquire the perfection and exalted state and purity that is of an exalted nature. Adrabah. Therefore, hashpalato tiyeh hakbahato. The more the man lowers his physical nature, the more his spiritual nature rises up. And in that way, he acquires for himself something that is brilliant and honorable, that is nothing like it. There is nothing like it. Because he changes the darkness of the material existence into the or, into the light of the spiritual existence. And the shade or the shadow of death shines like in glory, in a glorified way. And we see that the Creator, blessed be His name, put borders and order and a seder to the person. That man must make use of this world and its creatures. And specifically what their intended purposes are. That man is required to use these things of the world to live. Specifically in the borders and in those specifically in the seder, in the order that the divine intention commanded the person to be. This particular action that he does in the physical world, po'el shlemut, by doing that physical action, he involves himself in shlemut, in perfection. And through these actions, through these deeds, basically becomes inside the essence of man that we will find the perfection and tremendous heights. And he rises up from his low level. And he goes up from it. The ulam, but hashkifa hachokma elyona al kol klalei hachesronot hamutba'im be'inyono shel adam. We see that God had hashkafa, had providence, the chokma elyona, the divine wisdom, on all the general principles of all the different rules of what causes a person to be diminished or deficient, that are buried in the nature of man. And all are the details that are required for the person to elevate themselves in a true way, that are needed, that are appropriate to attach himself to God and to get pleasure from His goodness. And according to all this, God set it up in a certain type of order. And He made for man borders. Asher b'shomrotam, when he properly watches these borders, yitatzem bo kol ma shetzarich min hama'alah ha'amitit, will become buried within him in his essence, in the essence of man, this elevated nature that is true, shezacharnu, that we mentioned before. Vishulal mi'nyano kol ma shehu harchaka min hadveikut ha'elyon, and man at the same time will remove himself from all of the different types of items and things that cause him to have distance from his Creator. And if it wasn't for the fact that there was a decree for man to die, like we mentioned earlier, by way of these deeds, by way of these actions, the soul of the man would become stronger. And the darkness of the body becomes weaker. To the point where he can purify his body to such a purified state. And both the soul and the body become attached to the Holy One, blessed be He. But because there was a certain gzera made, this cannot be done in one sitting. But nevertheless, with each time or each attempt, the neshama gets stronger. And the body becomes purified through this action. Even though it's not completely done, and the person can basically can acquire a potential state of perfection. That's what we mean by haguf mizdakech bekoach, that the guf becomes purified in its potential. It has a potential to be purified, even though it doesn't actually become purified. And the man can acquire a situation where he has perfection, potential for perfection. And that potential for perfection will be actualized in the appropriate time. Hey. These borders and these orders that we mention, this is the mitzvot. This is precisely what are the commandments in the Torah. Ha'asiyin ve'halavin, the required commandments, the positive commandments, and the negative and the prohibitions. Asher kol achat mehen mechuvenet el tachlit hakinot ba'adam. Each mitzvah is basically is intended to help the person acquire that allows man to rise up his material nature in an appropriate amount based on that specific deed. And through this, a person removes the darkness and the blemishes. When a person does a positive commandment, he removes the blemish that is there. Or when he doesn't do a lo taseh, when he avoids doing a lo taseh, he removes a blemish that would have been there otherwise. But the details of all the mitzvot, and the details of each mitzvah and each mitzvah, they're based on the true nature of man and all of his details, and according to all the ways that man has to go to achieve that perfection that we discussed earlier. Each item according to what is needed for the man to achieve his perfection. Nevertheless, the divine wisdom that knows this according to its true nature, and God knows all the details of the creatures, of the creations, and all of their needs, and all that, because He created them. Be'emet hishkifa ala kol. Really, He looked over everything. He had providence over everything. Bechalala kol hamitzarech b'mitzvot shetzivanu b'torato. And basically, through all the mitzvot of the Torah, this is how a person has the ability to achieve the perfection, by doing the mitzvot of the Torah, either the positive commandments or avoiding the negative commandments. Uchmosh katuv, bringing a pasuk, Vayitzavenu Adonai la'asot et kol hachukim latov lanu, that God commanded us to do all the chukim, all of the laws of the Torah, and it's for our benefit. Vav. V'nei shoresh kol inyan avodahu. But we see that the root of all of the service is Heyot Adam poneh tamid lebor'o. Every time a person should be directing himself towards his Creator, and that he should know and understand. He has to know that he was only created for the purposes of attaching himself to his Creator. And man is only put in this world for the purposes of conquering his desires. And to basically cause his nature, his dark nature, his material nature, to be enslaved to his Creator through the strength, through the potential of the intelligence. The opposite of the going for the desires of the material things and leaning towards those things. And the man should direct all of his actions to acquire this end, which of course is attaching to Hashem, and he should not veer from this at all, and have no desire for anything else. Zayin. But we see everything that man has to do is divided into two different types of categories. The first one, he does what is required based on a commandment that he is required to do. And therefore we see another thing is what he has to do based on his material needs, what he has to do from his necessity. Perush ha'echadu klal ma'aseh mitzvot. One is the actual performance of the mitzvot. V'asheni klal ma'aseh adam mishtamesh min ha'olam letzorcho. Specifically, and the other one is what a man has to use from the world for this purpose. Ma'aseh mitzvot, the action of the mitzvot. Hineh hatachlit bo le'adam sheya'asehu mevo'arhu. The purpose of doing these mitzvot is for shehud lekayem mitzvat boro la'asot chefzo, is to do the desire of his Creator and the Creator's will. He basically fulfills the desire of his Creator, and he fulfills the desire of his Creator in both ways. He follows the will of what Hashem wants. Whatever Hashem commands, he actually does. And through the performance of the mitzvah, not only is he doing the will of God, but through that performance of the mitzvah, he's actually perfecting himself, which is the purpose of man to be, is to attach to God and to perfect themselves. Like we said before, and therefore the will of Hashem is fulfilled. Because the will of God is for man to perfect himself so that he can benefit from God's goodness. Therefore, we see that whatever man uses needs for his requirements from the world, first we have to see that whatever he needs has to be within the borders of what Hashem permitted him to have. That it can't be that anything that God forbade him to have is something that he needs to realize his goal. It's not working. So therefore, the only things that he's permitted to take from are things that Hashem permitted him to take from. And all of these things should only be for the purposes of the healing or the health of the body, and to allow it to be sustained that in a good way. and not leaning towards the chomer, the materialism, and his desire for what is permitted. This is a little bit like the Ramban says in his laws, when he says over there in his Perush in the Torah, Kedoshim to you, that a person should be mekadesh et atzmo, a person becomes holy by forbidding for himself things that are permitted, which means just because it's permitted doesn't mean a person should take it. A person should only take what he absolutely needs in order to survive, in order to thrive, in the minimal way, in order to achieve the goal of attaching to God and doing the mitzvot. So the goof can be properly prepared and ready for the soul to actually use the body to do the work of the Creator. And there should not be any blemish or any defect in the body that prevents it from doing what the soul needs to do in order to achieve the goal of perfection and attaching to God. When a person uses of the world, of the material world in this way, the using of the world in this way is specifically an action of shlemut. There's a little bit what the Ramchal is talking about in the Mesilat Yesharim when he talks about the Kedusha, that the concept of the Kedusha is a person uses the things in the world in order to achieve that holiness is by using the minimal amount of things it needs in the world to continue. This is part of the achievement of the Shlemut, like we explained previously. And through this use of the material world for his needs, he's also achieving a level similar to the level that he's achieving by performing the mitzvot themselves. Because this is also a commandment for us. That we have a commandment in the Torah, that a person has to guard his body, has to take care of his physical nature, his physical needs, so that he can be properly prepared for achieving his goal that is required of him. And therefore we can be elevated through the material world as well. And the world itself is elevated through this, in this kind of way. And the world is elevated by the fact that the world is helping the man to achieve his goals. So therefore the world also becomes spiritually elevated. But what we see that the person has to become stronger himself. His love and his awe and fear of his Creator. That the person should think about the greatness of Ramut. Now the Ramchal here is hinting to Mesilat Yesharim, the Yirat Chet, the level of Yirat Chet. And the greatness of the lowness of man, how low man is compared to Hashem. And he basically puts himself below Hashem. And he's embarrassed by the greatness of God. And the person has tremendous desire and yearning to be one of the servants before him. To praise where he needs to be praised, where God should be praised, where God is praised, that he should praise his greatness. These are essential needs that a person has through the Avah and the Yirah to make a person close to Hashem. That basically purify the darkness or clarify the darkness of the materialism, of the material nature, and allow the neshama to shine through the ahava and the yirah. And through these things, a person can rise up higher and higher and get closer to God. Tet, ve'omnam, therefore, there was one particular means that Hashem gave us, and the level of this particular item is higher than all the other ways that a person gets closer to God. This is through the learning of the Torah. V'hu b'shten b'chinot, and this is accomplished through two different ways. Ha'achat, one, b'vchinat hahigayon v'alimud. One is through the knowledge, through the logic, and the actual studying of the Torah. V'hasheniyah b'vchinat heskel, and the other one is through the intellectual perfection the person achieves. First, through the reading of the Torah, and secondly, through its comprehension. Kineh Ratza b'chazdo v'chiber lanu chibur dvarim kmo shegazar chochmato. We see that in his great goodness, he attached to us things that were commanded to us through his wisdom. Saram lanu, and he gave them to us. V'hainu klal sefer Torah, the actual Torah itself. V'acharav sifrei neviim, and after the actual Chumash, which is the 5 books of Moshe Rabbeinu, the books of the prophets. Shebiskulat hadvarim hahemiyeh, through studying of the books of the prophets and the Tanakh. A person who involves himself in these items with holiness and with purity, ala kavanah nechona, according to the proper intention, she asiyat chetzo yitbarach shemo, which is to perform the will of God, yitatzem bo al yadam ma'ala adyona u'shlemut gadol ad meod. With man, when he's studying the Tanakh, the works of the Torah, when he studies Torah, will become within him a tremendous level of perfection that is very, very high. And therefore also a person who involves himself in actually understanding the Torah, and to understand them from Farshim, to understand the explanations of the items of the Torah, he will acquire through his efforts shlemut al shlemut, a greater shlemut, which means the Ramchal is saying just by reading the Torah, reading the Tanakh, reading the Ketuvim, a person achieves a certain level of shlemut just by reading it, maybe even without understanding to that kind of level. But the more a person goes deeper and understands the Pesukim and what they mean and the deeper levels of the Torah, this is shlemut al shlemut, this is perfection on top of perfection. And how much even more so if he's able to get to the secrets of the Torah, the hidden parts of the Torah, which means anything that he's able to become knowledge about through the secrets of the Torah, through the study of the sodot of the Torah, the secrets of the Torah, will become in his soul will become. He earns for his soul the highest of levels that can be for perfection, true perfection. B'chol ela inyanim, in all of these items that we mentioned, lo dai ma shekoneh adam be'atzmo ma'ala shlemut. It's not enough what the person acquires for himself, this perfection. Ela shemitziut habriya kula bichlala biprata mitalem mishtalem. That not just that, but the entire world, the world itself, rises up in all of its details and becomes perfected. Bifrat al yedei Torah, and especially by way of study of the Torah. Yod. Ve'olam sibat kol mitzvei ha'adam. Every state in which a person exists, cheshkato bihirato, whether it's one of darkness or whether it's one of enlightenment, hinehi ha'arat panavit barach shemo elav, is result of the presence or absence of the light of Hashem to the person, or hit alamomi meno, the hidden of the light of Hashem. K'moshe zachanu le'el, like we explained before, ki hineh kol ma she'adon baruch hu me'ir panav, anything that Hashem gives a person light to see, mitrabeh hazoch hashlemut b'mi she'igia lo he'arato, that the perfection and the purity of the person is increased based on the amount of presence that Hashem that he has with the illumination that he's receiving from Hashem. And according to the amount of illumination, this is specifically the amount of shlemut, perfection, and the purity that is connected to it. And even the opposite of that is the more a person is distanced from God, the more there's darkness, the less illumination the person has, the further he is from Hashem, the further he is from the shlemut, and the more he is in the material world. But we know that Hashem shines to the person who is always getting closer to him. The en miniat tov mitzido klal, and the miniat, the prevention, is not from the side of Hashem. Ela mi shelo yitkarev elav yechsar herato. A person who does not get close to Hashem is going to not be able to appreciate the illumination. He's not going to receive the illumination. Ve'aminiat mitzad hamekabel, and that's coming from the purpose, from the person who is receiving. Lo mitzad Hashem yiparach, not from Hashem, which means the light is always there, the illumination is always there for the person to achieve. The question is, how much do you want to achieve of it, and how much is a person willing to expend energy to conquer the material world and conquer the material needs that are beyond what he needs for his purpose in order to achieve that light. The more a person effort, the more the person wants to get close to God, the more light he's going to achieve. The more the person is interested in himself and interested in his material world, the further he's going to get from God, and the less light he's going to receive. But the light is the same. The question is, how much are you able to receive? The divine wisdom decreed, when a person does the specific things that were commanded, specifically all the mitzvot that we mentioned earlier, any maaseh of the mitzvot that he does, each mitzvah brings the person closer and closer to the Holy One, blessed be He. And with each mitzvah, he gets more illumination from Hashem. According to how close he is getting to Hashem. And will become in his essence will become a level from the perfection. Which is the result of the ha'ara. The ha'ara is what brings the illumination, is what brings the perfection. The hefech ze ha'averot, and the opposite of that is the sin. Any one of the sins that a person does, God forbid, he becomes distanced from Hashem from a certain amount. And based on that, he has a decrease, he has a perception of a less illumination. He receives, it's not given less, he is unable to receive the full illumination, and he gets basically the countenance of Hashem gets hidden from him. That's the concept of Hester Panim. And because there's decreased illumination that he's receiving, therefore there becomes chisaron, there becomes imperfection. And that's specifically what happens. The more there's darkness, the more there is chisaron, the more there is imperfection. The more there is illumination, the more there is perfection. Yud Aleph. Nimtza lefi kol ma shehikdamnu. We see, according to everything we've explained, shakavana be'emet b'chol hamitzvot tiyeh hapiniyah elav yitbarach shemo. That the intention of all the mitzvot is for a person to turn themselves toward God, litkarevlo, to get close to Him, v'leor be'or panav, and to receive the light from the light of His countenance, and removing yourselves from the sins, limalet min harchek mimenu, prevents the person from getting the distance that would be caused by the performance of that sin. And this is the essential reason for the mitzvot of the Torah. But in the detail, the items in detail, each mitzvah has a tremendous depth, according to the details of man and the creation. Like we explained earlier, we're going to speak about some of them later on. I think he's talking about this in the fourth parak of this book, where he discusses various mitzvot and how they have impact on the person's spirituality. And it's part to itself, with Hashem's help. Okay, we finished parak Revi'i, the fourth chapter. Baruch Adonai Olam, Amen ve'amen.